What is up, guys? Speed here, and today we are back with a new video. Very exciting day. It's patch 7.22, and not only that, this is one of the most hysterical patches I've seen in a while. A lot of hilarious changes, in my opinion, that we'll be going over. But within this video, we're going to be focusing on what I believe is most important. I'm going to be breaking down the bigger picture, right? So you don't have to go through the entire patch. Here's just a general breakdown. But before we get into the main patch, I just want to let you guys know that over on the main gameleap website that you can check out in the description down below, I recently made an ALK guide, and I'm doing a lot more educational content that I think is going to help a lot of players gain MMR significantly faster. So if that sounds appealing to you, at least go check it out, check out the free videos, and get a feel for yourself. Okay, first off, the biggest change of the patch, undoubtedly, is the fact that there are 24 new Scepter Upgrades for the remaining heroes that had none. Very cool, basically just filling in the gap for every single hero that did. Next up, which is important, is that Mars and Io were both added to Captain's Mode. This is going to change the swing of some of the upcoming tournaments, and not only that, the great thing is we're going to be able to see both of these heroes at TI, which is going to be awesome. Two heroes that have not been in the swing, for a while at least, is going to be awesome for TI in some of the upcoming tournaments. Just to sum up some of these number-based changes for you guys, to put it simply, suiciding and early deaths give a lot more gold and XP. So heroes like Abaddon, basically any hero that is willing to trade their life, like Undying and Suicide in the lane for an advantage, they're not nearly as good because they're going to give a lot more gold and XP. And not only that, you have to be very careful about feeding in the early game, right? You can get to level 6 earlier, which is another point, but because you can get to level 6 earlier and you get more gold and XP from kills in the early game, the game's going to ramp up a lot faster. People are going to get their ultimates faster, and the laning stage might have more of an impact in that regard, even though denies were nerfed. We can see that siege creeps also have been changed. Basically, they're a lot worse, but what's important to note about them is they can no longer be dominated, enchanted, or converted. This is a big nerf to heroes like Chen and Enchantress, but most notably, one of the most abusable, I guess two abusable heroes, were Lycan and Enigma. Specifically Enigma, right? Enigma would come out of the jungle at 8 or 9 minutes with the Helm of the Dominator, take over a cart, and basically ruin a lane. And as a result, this is no longer possible. Taking towers in the early game by enchanting a cart is not an option. To summarize the Rosh changes, Rosh is just a lot harder to kill now. That's basically it. It gives less XP bounty and scales up, I believe, in gold towards the late game. But basically, Rosh is seemingly less worth it, especially in the early game. An interesting change was that a lot of heroes that have a previously 100 base attack speed have now changed. Most notably, in particular, is Slark. Slark going from 100 to 120, which is very notable, right? Because the hero relies on attack speed to build essence shift stacks. This is a huge buff to a hero like Slark. Other heroes such as Silencer, Mirana, and even Gyrocopter, all being ranged heroes, getting attack speed makes their zoning potential a lot better. So I think this is very scary for a lot of the ranged heroes within this change. And finally, some heroes now have base mana regen. You can read them over if you want. I don't think they're particularly notable. Maybe the biggest one is Techies having 1 base mana regen, but other than that, nothing too crazy. Moving on, wars are now much cheaper, and something I only recently noted is that Sentry Wards have a stock limit. So supports, specifically position 5s, who like to be poor and feel like they were living in the Great Depression, can no longer do that, right? Because there's a max of 10, so you have to be a lot more strategical with your Sentry Wards because you cannot spam them. To my knowledge, there are now 2 of them. So if you were fighting over them in the past, you don't have to anymore, unless I guess your entire team wants one. That's not possible. But this is really cool, right? As is, level 6 is easier to get. And the fact that they put in 2 tomes means nearly everyone on your team is going to be level 6 by the 10-minute mark. That is insane. The game is going to be so fast in that regard, and I'm very excited to see how this actually plays out. But also you should know that Tome has a 5-minute cooldown, basically meaning that you can't use it to go from level 5 to 7 out of nowhere. Moving on for items, there's not really anything too big. Helm of the Dominator got a 300 gold recipe, which is a meh nerf. Everything else, very unnoticeable in my opinion. Slight Rod of Atos nerf, basically just a few number changes here and there. The only item that got a massive change is Eye of Skadi. It basically was made worse against melee heroes and significantly better against ranged heroes. As a quick side note, you used to see some Storm Spirits buy like 3 or 4 Bloodstones, and it would make the game very miserable because they basically had unlimited mana, but now that is no longer the case, right? They just basically changed it where you can't stack Bloodstone charges. Now moving on to notable hero changes. I'm not going to be covering every single hero or Ags upgrade within this video. I'm going to make a separate video on an Ags tier list, like what I think and how good the new Ags actually are, but I'm only going to cover the notable and probably just in general, the good ones of this patch, or just important changes to note throughout it. First off, we have Beastmaster. His new Ags is disgusting. What even is this? Wild axes have no cooldown and can be used again once they've returned to Beastmaster. With a little bit of mana regeneration, you're just going to be chucking axes over and over again. And the fact is that these stack. They stack, right? They amp damage. The more you hit, the more damage they do. So as a result, at some point, your units and your axes are going to hit so hard. I don't get this, and I think it even works on Roshan if I'm not mistaken. I feel like this is going to get changed at some point. Maybe I'm wrong. Moving on from that, we have Bristleback. This might not look big, but you have to be very careful about buffing Bristleback's tankiness. 1 armor could change the laning stage, and not only that, he has a better level 6, which as I said before, he gets earlier. This hero in the early game it's getting scary. Nasal Goo got buffed a couple times last patch. Now it's only 12 mana at level 1. And now he's getting a base armor as well as a better level 6 spike. I would watch out for Bristleback. Chen got some interesting buffs, or at least changes, where basically Holy Persuasion allows his creeps to move a lot faster. This is great for ganking and getting centaurs or hellbears in position. And Divine Favor is now a passive aura, meaning it works in an area around you. It provides HP regen, heal amplification, and bonus damage, making it fantastic for push strats. In addition, all the creeps around you get 2 times the value, which is crazy, right? 2 times the value on, whatever, 4 creeps or so is a ton of damage. But you have to consider that Chen can no longer take over siege wagons, meaning he's good, but he can't have like 4 siege wagons and siege Hydron like that. Moving on, I think Klink's got a pretty good Ag Scepter upgrade. Not only that, he got some base mana regeneration. But if you're unfamiliar of what the Ags upgrade does, basically when you come out of Invis, when your Invis ends or you use something to go out of it, you get 2 of these Scepter skeletons right next to you. Pretty good, especially considering you can get 4 of them right away because the cooldowns overlap. In addition, it increases your Windwalk movement speed by 30% and unlocks max movement speed, meaning that you can fly around the map. Next up, Doom got probably one of the biggest nerfs of the patch, in my opinion. This might kind of seem not like a big deal, but basically you can't take over the big creeps before you put 3 or 4 points into Devour. And this is a big deal because one of the strengths of Doom in this patch, especially the ability to run him as a support, was the fact that you can max out Scorched Earth and do a ton of damage that way. But now you just can't do that, right? You can't max out Scorched Earth if you want to be able to have these big creep abilities, which were crucial in allowing Doom to win the laning stage and crush a lot of matchups. And now that's just not an option. So I think Doom is going to be picked when you can get away with playing him Giga Greedy. Maybe still, like against the Abaddon matchups, for instance. But other than that, definitely a huge nerf. Moving on, I think Dragonite potentially got the best Ag Scepter upgrade in the game. It basically gives you a 4th level to Elder Dragon form, a Black Dragon, which upgrades your level of your ultimate by 1. So even if you don't have level 3 Dragon, and it's not for the Black Dragon, you can still get it for either the Frost Dragon, or even the one before that. Basically, it's a pretty decent stats item that gives you an upgrade in level, and if you do manage to get it for the Black Dragon, it gives you 50% more corrosive damage, quite a bit, really good for sieging, splash damage, and slow. Right, 50% splash is a ton, and the slow by 50% reduces movement speed. It reduces your movement speed to like 100 or 150. It's bonkers. Not only that, it increases your attack range to 600 and grants you 30% magic resistance. Basically, you kite people to infinity, you have longer attack range, which increases the kite, and you're much tankier by 30% in magic resistance. This Ags is pretty legit. Moving on to Drow, she can't instantly kill Ancients anymore, and her marksmanship no longer pierces total armor, but only base armor. So basically, you're not that good against heroes that you can actually shred in the previous patch. So Drow, does she have a niche? Yes, but it's purely in Drow strats. She's definitely not like some first phase hero anymore, in my opinion. Moving on, we have Grimstroke's new Ags, which is great. right? It's just super good. Gives you Dark Portrait, a new ability, which allows you to make an illusion of a hero that is magic immune and has 30% movement speed for 20 seconds. It only takes 200% extra damage, or incoming damage, and deals 150% outgoing damage. This means that you can have a Luna or a Jug or an Anti-Mage or a Terrorblade that lasts for 20 seconds, is magic immune, and has 30% movement speed, as well as does 150 outgoing damage. That is crazy. Crazy good. I think this is pretty legit on a position 4 Grimstroke, and I would definitely expect to see it in the future. Also, Grimstroke got Inkswell, is now castable on allied spell immune units, which is great. It allows people to BKB, get Inkswelled, and jump in. Next up, we have Huskar. Huskar was notably one of the best traders up until his recent nerfs, but not anymore. He got a 1 armor increase, and he got Berserker's Blood buffed by a fairly decent amount, 5% at all levels. In addition, Inner Fire cooldown has been reduced by 4 at level 1, meaning it is a quite good spell for securing CS and harassing in the early levels. Basically, Huskar's laning stage was giga buffed. Looking at these Meepo changes, you might think it's just like, it's some decent talent changes, but Meepo was very good when his talents were very good. I actually said this in the recent talent tier list that I made, and he got a base damage increase as well as 2 level 10 talent buffs and a level 15 talent buff. This means that Meepo's early game ability to dominate has been buffed, and that's kind of what the hero is good at. It's good at hitting these early game timings where you're just stronger than everyone else, killing everyone, and then snowballing off that. And with these talents giving you 5 more damage or 3 more strength, I think this hero is starting to become scary again. Nature's Prophet has been nerfed again, guys. I know. I'm just as sad as you are. I really am. As a Nature's Prophet main, guys, I get it. I get it. I'm really sad too. -2 base damage. Okay, it's not that big of a change, but I'm really sad. Nyx Assassin got 20 seconds on his ult at level 1. That's basically all you need to know. He's not going to be able to spook you as much. Pangalier's Lucky Shot no longer has a chance to silence, and it now reduces armor by 3, 4, 5, and 6. Basically, what this means is that it has a very good niche against either physical damage heroes or with physical damage strats. Okay, I hate Slark, guys. Hopefully, some of you guys know this by now. Not that it matters, but why did he get a base attack increase? I already said this in this video, but damn, no, please keep this hero out of the game. He has more attack speed, and his ultimate is now better by quite a bit, going from 3% to 5% at level 1. That's the most notable. 2 extra percent. If you couldn't do the math, you're welcome. But yeah, Slark, much better earlier on, and a hero like Slark really needs that. Spirit Breaker got a ton of changes. Basically, to put it simply, Greater Bash Stun is less time in the early levels, but it does more damage. His charge costs less mana, and Bulldoze makes you doze even harder. Techi's got 1 base mana regen. Yeah, I honestly think Techi's is going to be really good soon. He's just getting all these like buffs throughout these patches that is making his late game, early game. Basically, the hero's getting much stronger over the patches, and I would not be surprised if he came into the meta. Timbersaw got overall stat buffs, got a strength increase, an intelligence increase, and an armor increase, basically meaning that his early game and scaling is a lot better. As well, his talents got changed to basically make them more practical. Instead of being Spell Amp and XP gain at level 10, which were okay but kind of weird in some games, he now has either health or mana regen, which I think it just makes more sense for the hero. And at level 10, instead of having 100 damage, which was actually a good talent, very underrated, he now has Spell Amp, and his reactive armor talent got changed. It got buffed, actually, by 3 reactive armor stacks. So overall, pretty nice changes to Timbersaw, just making him a better hero. Tiny got a 2-second cooldown reduction to his tree grab, basically making him a better core again. In addition, his armor also been increased. And support Tinies don't even take grow, so this is definitely a big buff to core Tiny. Not only that, his intelligence growth got increased by 0.6, a very large number, and he got this crazy Scepter upgrade, which basically allows you to chuck trees the whole game. It's a ton of damage. I tested it out. Basically, go try it out in the lobby. You just chuck every tree in the nearby area at people. Really good. Dream Protector now has 0.5 base mana regeneration, and Nature's Guise has been reworked once again. It is now a self-cast ability for all you who have played for quite a while. You would know what this is like. Basically, now you have to cast Nature's Guise on yourself. It does not have a fade delay, and it doesn't get interrupted on damage taken. So basically, I think Train is quite a better laner now. This might make it a fairly legit support. The Nature Skies now gives 6% more movement speed at level 1 and 30 more damage, so you bought people for like 150 at level 1 coming out of Invis. Pretty impressive. Wind Ranger got really good buffs as a core. She had this issue for a while where you didn't want to have to buy Ags because you wanted a BKB or a MKB, but you really wanted a lower cooldown on Focus Fire. But now you just naturally get that by putting points into it, which is awesome. Like, this is a massive change. Now, I don't think this level 25 talent helps her, but this change, really, really good. Like, absurdly good for core Wind Ranger. And finally, last but not least, we have Witch Doctor and Zeus. Witch Doctor got 10 damage at all levels on his ultimate, meaning at level 1, his death ward is a lot scarier. 10 damage on how many beams or whatever balls he shoots out on, I don't know. It's a lot. 10, it just adds up. So pretty big buff to the early game of Witch Doctor, especially considering he'll basically always get a tome now. And finally we have Zeus, who got a little bit of base mana regeneration, as well as a much better attack point, meaning it is easier to last hit on this hero. So yeah, hopefully guys, you learned quite a bit about the patch from this video, because I know how much people actually hate reading patches, at least some people. I'm personally a fan. Hopefully you kind of got the overall gist. I know I skipped quite a bit, but I thought I covered the majority of the large changes. If you disagree and you think I skipped anything extremely important, I'd be happy to know down in the comment section below and yell at you for being so stupid. I'm kidding, guys. I'm joking. But thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please do like and subscribe. And of course, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.